One ESPN expert would be surprised if Jalen Hurts plays on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. The Eagles are working out a former, I guess, kind of star tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, and Carson Wentz is back starting for the Washington Commanders. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Wednesday. Yes, at long last, I am back in the home studio. I had an excellent Christmas. Hope you guys did as well. Getting ready for a very happy new year. I want to jump into the latest stuff going around in the National Football League, along with Philadelphia Eagles and an update on Jalen Hurts. We'll start with Philadelphia. We'll move over to Washington and finish with NFL Power Rankings. Here's your update on Jalen Hurts. It's not shocking, but it's also a little bit interesting, and this comes from ESPN's Dan Graziano. Bleeding Green Nation has the write-up, but it is from ESPN+. I'm going to read you what Dan Graziano, an ESPN insider who knows a lot about the National Football League, very much inside those circles, had to say yesterday about Hurts' chances of playing on Sunday. Quote, "Despite what the Eagles were saying publicly last week, I don't believe there was ever any consideration given to Jalen Hurts playing against the Cowboys after his shoulder injury was revealed. And once again, I'd be surprised if he played this week. The Eagles' real decision could end up being whether to give Hurts some action in Week 18 against the Giants, just so he hasn't had 5 weeks off for the divisional round playoff game, assuming they secure that number 1 seed and bye. The impression I get from talking to people about the situation, that the Eagles believe they will have Hurts back before their first playoff game, but they still aren't sure about the extent to which the injury will affect him once he does return." End quote. Now, you're probably saying, Thomas, I know this. This isn't anything new. This is actually very interesting. I would argue this is something that we haven't really been talking about the past couple of days. Now, if you heard me over the past couple of days, I said Hurts probably going to play on Sunday against the Saints. I felt very confident about that. Reading this from Dan Graziano, I feel less confident. Dan is virtually saying he does not see Jalen Hurts playing on Sunday against the Saints. He sees Gardner Minshew starting, and the only chance of Hurts playing before the playoffs would be in either a Week 18 clinching game if they were to lose against the Saints on Sunday, or if it were to be a case where he comes in and kind of does a preseason game against the Giants where he plays for a couple of series, burns off some of that rust, and then they rest him the rest of the game and get him ready for the divisional round. That way he doesn't have, like Dan said, 5 weeks off. So it's very much seemingly up in the air if Jalen Hurts is going to play on Sunday. This tells me he's not, right? And I don't have any inside information. I'm just going off of what this is talking about, and someone who has a lot more information than I do, but that would tell me he's not going to go ahead and play on Sunday. And the bottom line here, talking about they don't know the extent to which the injury will affect him once he does return, is also a fascinating point, because he can play through pain, but can he actually still have good shoulder mechanics and good throwing motion and everything he needs to in order to go ahead and win playoff games? That includes being able to take hits and get land on, because opposing football teams are going to try to go ahead, not to hurt him, but to make sure the shoulder is good to go. Now, I know what you're saying, Thomas, he played the entire fourth quarter with the shoulder injury. The stats are really good. You've seen those tweets where they show you Jalen Hurts was 7 for 12 for 100 yards and a touchdown after being injured. I get that, but this is a fluid thing, right? It's been a couple of days, couple of weeks after the Bears game. Things can change. You get some swelling, you get some soreness. We don't really know the extent right now, and I think this is a fascinating storyline to watch as the next couple of days progress. Now, Philadelphia, if they're smart, they won't tell the Saints, aka tell the public, if he's going to play until tomorrow, or I should say Friday, maybe Saturday. Keep that tight to the vest. But if you're reading this article here, to me, it would say he's not going to play. But again, we're going to go ahead and find out. I will just finish with this. We'll move on. Don't rush him back. I know a lot of people want to see him back. If we can't beat the Saints without Jalen Hurts, with the rest of the football team being very, very good, then what are we really thinking Philadelphia is going to do in the playoffs? Like, seriously, they should be able to beat the Saints with Gardner Minshew. Even with the 4 turnovers last week, that football team last week could have beaten the Saints. The Saints are not very good. Okay. Before we go ahead and get into this Blake Jarwin tryout for Philadelphia, very bizarre thing. I do want to go ahead and actually mention this new FanDuel link that I have. This is great. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with DraftKings. That link is still going to be relevant. I'll have it down below in the description box. But we have a new FanDuel promo for you guys here on the Thomas Mott Show. Link down below. Their no sweat first bet for new customers. Up to $1,000 back in free bets if your bet does not go ahead and hit. This is basically a chance for you to go ahead and create an account with FanDuel and try out a bet. You feeling good about the Eagles' chances against the Saints like I do? Jalen Hurts or not? Jump in on this promo with FanDuel. It won't last last forever. Link is down below right now. Really cool to have DraftKings and FanDuel. This is a great overall promo. Again, link will be in the description box. All right, let's move over to a brand new update on Lane Johnson. This actually comes after I'd finished recording the show, and so I kind of cut this one in here. But Ian Rapoport, just a couple of minutes ago, has a fresh update, and it's good news on the star right tackle for Philadelphia. Here's the tweet. Let's go over this right now. Quote, after consulting with numerous experts, including Dr. William Myers in Philadelphia, Eagles Pro Bowl offensive tackle Lane Johnson will put off surgery on his torn abductor to rehab for 2 or 3 weeks and will play in the playoffs, sources say, and he says wild there, end quote. Now that is pretty crazy overall in terms of Lane Johnson. The fact we actually get the update is good news here. Now, I expected this to kind of be what was going to happen. That's what kind of the tea leaves were saying, is that he needed surgery, but he's going to put it off because they needed him to play, and he's going to try to rehab, and so this is going to be his best course of action. Now, 2 thoughts on this. One, if he's able to play through this and go all the way to the Super Bowl with Philadelphia, that is big-time guts. I mean, this guy is a warrior because that's serious pain, and there's a chance of it actually getting re-injured and then needing surgery after the season. So I think Lane looked at his options and said, hey, I can go ahead and take the surgery, take the not easy way out, but the smart way out, get the surgery, be back next year and move on. Or I can battle with my teammates, I can grind out there, I can push through the pain, hope it doesn't get any worse, and try to see how many games I can give this football team, maybe just 3 needed in the postseason. So I'm sure the doctors have given him plenty of different options here. He's going to be attacking rehab, and the good news is, as long as Philadelphia wins on Sunday or wins in Week 18, you don't need Lane Johnson until January 21st in the divisional round matchup. So I think this is good news. A lot of people will say, oh, just do the surgery. You know, this guy's trying to win another Super Bowl. This guy wants to be out there for his football team. I don't discredit that at all. I respect it, and I think that the doctors do understand and do, give him all of his options. If he clearly was not able to play on this, the doctors wouldn't let him. Like NFL players, they play through the pain all the time, but they're not idiots, right? You can't go out there if it's like, hey, literally one snap, you're going to, have a hernia. You're going to re-tear this. You're going to make it worse. If it's like, hey, you're probably going to be okay. Might hurt a little bit. We'll get you surgery after the season. You see why he's going to go ahead and play. So big news here. Good news for Lane Johnson. Philadelphia looking like they're going to be as close to 100% in terms of injuries once they get to the postseason. Okay, Blake Jarwin. This is fascinating here. Eagles had former tryout for tight end Blake Jarwin. This is actually updated. So you see here from Field Yates, interesting tryout for the Eagles today. Former Cowboys tight end Blake Jarwin. Injuries limited Jarwin to just 9 games in the last 2 seasons. He was a productive player at the Cowboys 2018-2019. And then ML Football said the workout will be tomorrow, a.k.a. the 28th, which is today on a Wednesday, due to flight issues. Raise your hand, like the video if any of you guys were affected by flight issues. I somehow got a Frontier flight from Texas back to Atlanta and didn't have any delays yesterday, which is a great overall thing. Really happy about that. But for all of you guys affected by Southwest, trust me, I feel your pain. That sounded terrible. This is weird, right? Because Jarwin is not necessarily like a crazy good tight end. In Philadelphia, they have Dallas Goedert back from injury, Jack Stoll and Grant Calcaterra, and they've used Stoll and Calcaterra a lot. Now, I don't think Stoll and Calcaterra are, superstars, but it's not like Blake Jarwin is a superstar, right? I mean, I don't really know what the idea of this, overall interview is, right? Now, maybe, potentially, they just want depth, or there is the idea they could be trying to bring in, a Cowboy insider to use to be able to kind of scout the Cowboys for your third matchup and a potential, 1-5 divisional round matchup, right? I mean, no idea. I don't want to put on my little tinfoil hat and be a total like, ooh, they're going to try to, get all this inside information on the Dallas Cowboys, because what is he really going to tell you, right? Maybe a couple of things that could help, but it's not going to like he would be the difference in the Eagles winning or losing. But keep an eye on this. I don't know if they're going to sign him. As of filming this show, they have not signed him, but it is at least worth mentioning that they had a tryout with Blake Jarwin. Okay, over here to NFL National News, 2 NFL main stories today. We always move on from Philadelphia to talk about the National Football League as well. And I want to mention the Carson Wentz back to starting for the Washington Commanders. Bleeding Green Nation has this whole write-up here. Quote, after temporarily losing his starting job to Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz is back as the Washington Commanders starting quarterback. Heineke originally took over for Wentz after the former Philadelphia Eagles quarterback suffered a fractured ring finger in October. With a new quarterback at the helm, Commanders went on a 5-1 stretch. Seemed like they were going to set to ride Heineke for the rest of the year before going 0-2-1 in their last 3 games as they try to clinch a wildcard spot in the NFC playoff picture, end quote. Now, couple of thoughts here. This is the right move. And I'm not a Heineke hater. I think Heineke has some sort of little mojo magic to him, but you were never going to win playoff games with Taylor Heineke. And I know he played well, and 5-1 is hard to go ahead and, look back on it and just scoff. But it's a what have you done for me recently sort of league. And the problem with the Washington Commanders, guys, they're a good roster. The Washington Commanders are a solid roster. You put any of the star quarterbacks on the Washington Commanders roster, Hurts, Burrow, Allen, they're balling out. They have good receivers. The offensive line is good, not great, but not terrible. It's a very decent offensive line. They have a very strong running game. Robinson's been fantastic this year. They have a great front four, one of the best front fours in the National Football League. A little weak on the backside, but it's a good football team. And I think the issue right now is they understand that Heineke can only take them so far, and they got to clinch a playoff spot. They haven't clinched yet. I mean, you got the Lions, you have the Seahawks, you have the Packers, all kind of breathing down their necks, and that loss against the Giants a couple of weeks ago was super ugly. Wentz, for everything that he does wrong, and he does a lot of things wrong, trust me, every Eagle fan understands this, he at least gives you that gunslinger potential, and that was always the key with Carson Wentz after being traded away by the Philadelphia Eagles, the potential for him to be great with the Colts, the potential for him to be great with the Commanders. Now, he hasn't done that, but he at least gives them a chance, I would say. Now, this does mean that if the Commanders were to go ahead and make the playoffs and win in the divisional round, they would travel to Philadelphia, right? If they're like the 7th seed winning would go to the Eagles, the 1 seed, and play them in the divisional round, meaning Carson Wentz could be the starting quarterback at the Link in a potential division round matchup. Very, very unlikely, but there is a chance overall. So, good for Wentz. Wentz is a good guy. I think Wentz is a great person overall. I've always thought highly of Carson Wentz. A lot of good stuff with charity, but the quarterback stuff was always an issue, and let's just say, to put a bow on it, I'm glad that the Eagles have a different quarterback instead of him. Speaking of which, if you missed my video yesterday, I went ahead and gave my mom, she's a massive Eagle fan, and I bought and got her tickets to the NFC divisional round in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Now, you guys are all commenting, and the video is great. She's an incredible person in my life. I mean, so supportive of the show and of me, and so I wanted to give back to her, and I did film it because I thought her reaction would be pretty good, and it is. If you missed that show, you got to go ahead and check it out. It was yesterday. But a lot of people are commenting, Thomas, you can't buy tickets to a game that might not happen. Guys, the Eagles are going to be the 1 seed. Come on, they're going to win one of their next 2. They will be the 1 seed. That game will happen. Plus, if you haven't bought NFL tickets recently, all the different links, SeatGeek and StubHub and all of them, they give you a full refund if the game doesn't happen. So if Philadelphia turns out to be a wild card team and they won't host a divisional round game, I get a full refund. So everyone's freaking out about that, but it's fine. If you watched the video, thumbs up. If you missed it, it's really, really cool. And thumbs up just for my mom being incredible. And the fact I get to go watch an Eagle game with her for her first time with the Link, it's going to be electric. Hope some of you guys will be there. Okay, NFL Power Rankings here really quickly. I do want to mention this. We do it almost every single week here on the Thomas Mott Show. NFL.com ranks their teams. San Francisco, this is what I want to show you. San Francisco is now 1. Philadelphia is now 2. Now, I'm fine with Philadelphia falling out of the number 1 spot. They lost, bad turnovers, little ugly against Dallas, that's fine. I think San Francisco is the biggest dark horse, massive question mark right now in the entire NFL. I still don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be able to win enough football games in the playoffs and not have a 7th round draft pick moment to trust him. That's my whole problem right now. Is their defense great? Yes. Do they have weapons? Yes. But Debo, not there, not 100%. And Brock Purdy is still 7th round draft pick, final pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. I just don't see him going on the road for, 2 games in the NFC Championship game and possibly the divisional round, and win a home playoff game as well, and get you to a Super Bowl. Do I respect him? Yes. Do I think that he is going to be, this superstar in the playoffs? Yet to be seen. Buffalo is 3. That's fine. Looks like they're on track to clinch the 1 seed, but they got to beat Cincinnati on Monday Night Football. Maybe the best Monday night game of the entire year happening this Monday night. Great matchup here. I'm a Cincinnati fan. I mean, in terms of AFC teams, Cincinnati is really fun because we talk about Buffalo and Kansas City, but Cincinnati is really fun. I can't wait for that game. Chiefs at 5, Cowboys in at 6. I like the fact they kept them here. I think that there was a lot that you can love about what Dak Prescott did against Philadelphia, but there's a lot you can kind of not really take away from because their defense really gave up a ton of points, and Gardner Minshew's 3 turnovers and the fumble, and yet Philadelphia still had a chance to win, so that's fine. Minnesota is 7. This football team, for whatever reason, cannot win big. They either get blown out or they win by 1 score. They've had 11 one-score games this year. They've won every single one of them. This 12-3 record, a little bit of fool's gold for me. Not saying they're bad, but I'm just trying to show you guys not a lot of convincing wins and a lot of very bad losses, especially the Cowboy one for the Vikings. Chargers in at 8. They've locked up their playoff spot, although the Colts were atrocious on Monday night, so what do you really glean from that? How about Jacksonville? Everyone's riding the Jacksonville Jaguar train right now. I'm on it as well. My roommate Alex, big Jags fan. I took him to Jags-Eagles earlier this year. I would love to see the Jaguars beat the Titans in Week 18 and host a home wild card game. That would be very fun. That's Dougie P, baby. He's in the AFC. No harm to Philadelphia. We love Doug Peterson. Finally, Baltimore 10, Lions 11, although, of course, that loss to the Panthers, yuck. Packers 12, Dolphins 13, Giants 14, and Jets. Jets are 15. Jeez, we'll see if Mike White can save them. All right, plenty more stuff happening this week. We will obviously make sure to find out what happens with Jalen Hurts. My guess is now no, but you never know, so stay tuned. I'm Thomas Mott, Thomas Mott Show. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.